The attack was as sudden as it was brutal, a coordinated strike by Manhattan's most powerful family. Mrs. Eleanor Rothel's hand cracked across Maya's face as 3 family members closed in. James Jr. grabbed Maya's scarf and jerked her backward into the dessert table. Chocolate mousse splattered across her dress as caviar hit the marble floor. Victoria Rothel Sterling kicked Maya's purse, spilling its contents. "Look at that cheap knockoff bag." Senator Charles Rothel pointed his cane at Maya's chest. "Security, remove this creature immediately." The Rothel family formed a predatory circle around Maya while 200 wealthy guests pulled out phones. Flashes erupted as Maya stood frozen, chocolate dripping from her fingers, surrounded by Manhattan's most powerful family. Her quiet dignity seemed pathetic against their coordinated attack. Have you ever been so completely outnumbered that escape felt impossible? The Rothel family moved like a pack of wolves who'd tasted blood. Mrs. Eleanor stepped closer, her Cartier bracelet catching the light as she gestured dismissively. "James, call building security. This person clearly snuck in through the service entrance." "Already on it, Mother." James Rothel Jr. held his phone high, snapping photos of Maya like she was evidence at a crime scene. "Look at that discount store dress. Probably cost less than our wine tonight." Victoria's manicured finger stabbed at her phone screen, her 2.3 million Instagram followers joining the hunt. "Going live from the Met Gala. Catching a party crasher red-handed, guys." Her voice dripped with theatrical disgust. "I can literally smell the desperation." Senator Charles tapped his silver cane against the marble floor. "In 30 years of politics, I've seen this exact type. They read about events in gossip magazines, then show up thinking they belong." He leaned on his cane, studying Maya like a specimen. "Probably has outstanding warrants." The family had found their rhythm. They circled Maya slowly, each taking turns to deliver cutting observations to their growing audience. "Look at those shoes," Eleanor pointed. "Palace? Or did she steal those too?" "The hair extensions are so obvious," Victoria giggled into her phone. "My followers are dying right now." Gossip Girl 212 just commented, "Call the police. Heart emoji, fire emoji." James moved closer, his corporate instincts kicking in. "Ma'am, I run the largest defense contractor in the Northeast. I know exactly how much everything costs in this room. Your entire outfit wouldn't cover the tax on my watch." The museum's head of security approached cautiously. A retired NYPD captain, he'd handled everything from art theft to celebrity meltdowns, but something felt different about this situation. "Ladies and gentlemen," the gala host's voice boomed over the sound system. 10 minutes until our auction closes for the evening. Final bids are being accepted for tonight's remarkable collection." Eleanor's eyes sharpened. Perfect timing. "We need this handled before the important part begins." She turned to the security chief. "I've been on this museum's board for 30 years. Remove her immediately." Victoria's live stream exploded with activity. 25,000 viewers and climbing. The comment section became a feeding frenzy. "Oh my God, she looks so guilty. Why hasn't security grabbed her yet? Throw her out. Check her pockets." The racial slurs started appearing in the comment stream. Victoria didn't moderate them. Senator Charles leveraged his political weight. "I have the police commissioner on speed dial. One call, and this becomes a federal trespassing case." His voice carried the authority of someone accustomed to making threats stick. Maya stood in the center of their coordinated attack, chocolate still staining her dress. She reached into her simple black clutch for tissues to clean her face. As she opened the purse, several items became briefly visible. A first-class boarding pass, JFK to Dubai, business section, the corner of what looked like a titanium credit card, a phone screen showing 87 missed calls. The security chief noticed the boarding pass but couldn't read the name from his angle. James pressed his advantage. "I employ half the security firms in Manhattan. Once word gets out about tonight, you'll never work in this city again." "Assuming she actually has a job," Eleanor added with cruel precision. Victoria's followers were eating it up. The viewer count hit 45,000. Her engagement metrics were through the roof. "Guys, she's just standing there," Victoria narrated breathlessly. "Like, doesn't she realize she's been caught?" The audacity is unreal. Maya's phone buzzed constantly. Bloomberg notifications, Reuters alerts. The screen lit up repeatedly, but she made no move to answer. The museum director arrived, his face flushed from rushing across the building. "What seems to be the problem here?" "Some woman crashed our gala," Eleanor explained smoothly, probably hoping to network with people far above her station. Or steal jewelry during the cocktail hour, James added. The director looked uncomfortable. High-profile donors were complaining, social media was buzzing, and the auction needed to proceed smoothly. Ma'am, he addressed Maya directly. I'm afraid you'll need to show me your invitation and identification. Maya looked up from cleaning chocolate off her dress. For the first time since the slap, she spoke. I'd like to make a phone call first. Denied, the security chief said immediately. You can call a lawyer from the station. Eleanor smiled triumphantly. See? How they always want to make a call when they're caught. The crowd of wealthy guests had grown larger. Phone cameras created a forest of glowing screens, all pointed at Maya. Some guests live-streamed on their own social platforms, adding fuel to the viral fire. Victoria's stream hit 60,000 viewers. The comments were becoming increasingly hostile. Maya glanced at her watch, a subtle gesture, but the first sign of any concern about time. 8 minutes until the auction closed. Her phone screen lit up again. This time, the security chief caught a glimpse of the caller ID, but the name was too small to read clearly. The Rothel family sensed victory approaching. They'd successfully isolated their target, controlled the narrative, and mobilized both traditional and social media pressure. Maya stood alone, surrounded by Manhattan's elite, with nowhere to run. Last chance, Senator Charles declared. Leave voluntarily, or we'll have you arrested for trespassing. Maya's quiet dignity was cracking under the sustained assault. The Rothel family transformed the museum floor into their personal war room. Mrs. Eleanor positioned herself like a commanding general, directing the assault with surgical precision. James, get your corporate security here immediately. Victoria, make sure this goes viral. Charles, use your government connections. The family had found their battle stations. James stepped away, phone pressed to his ear. Yeah, it's Rothwell. I need a full team at the Met Museum. Now, trespassing situation that needs immediate resolution. His voice carried the authority of someone who'd never been told no. Victoria's live stream had become the evening's entertainment. 75,000 viewers watched her narrate the takedown like a sporting event. Okay, beautiful humans, we're at 75 Kelvin's viewers. This is literally insane. She positioned her phone for the perfect angle. Security is about to drag her out. Should I follow them to get the arrest footage? The comment section had become a toxic wasteland. Make her famous for the wrong reasons. Check if she stole anything. Why is she just standing there? Probably on drugs. Senator Charles worked his political connections with practiced efficiency. Commissioner O'Malley, Charles Rothel. I need a favor at the Metropolitan Museum. Priority response. He paused, listening. Yes, the same Charles who got your budget approved last year. Maya stood in the center of the expanding chaos, still cleaning chocolate from her dress with methodical precision. 6 minutes remained until the auction closed. The museum director wrung his hands as more board members arrived. These weren't just donors, they were Manhattan royalty. Alienating the Rothel family could cost the museum millions in future contributions. Ma'am, please understand our position, he pleaded with Maya. These are some of our most valued supporters. If you could just show us some identification. Eleanor smelled victory. Exactly. We donate $50 million annually to this institution. Our family has been patrons for 3 decades. She gestured dramatically at Maya. Are you going to protect us, or this obvious intruder? The security team multiplied. Museum guards joined James's corporate security personnel. 8 men now formed a loose perimeter around Maya, awaiting orders. Victoria's engagement metrics were astronomical. Her follower count was actually increasing in real time as the stream went viral across platforms. Oh my God, guys, my notifications are literally breaking my phone, she squealed. People are sharing this everywhere. We're about to hit 100 Kelvin's viewers. Maya's phone continued its relentless buzzing. Each notification seemed more urgent than the last. She glanced at the screen briefly, long enough for the security chief to notice multiple missed calls from unknown numbers. Popular lady, he commented sarcastically. Drug dealer blowing up your phone? Eleanor's voice cut through the crowd noise. I want her searched immediately. Check for stolen items, weapons, drugs, whatever trash like this typically carries. The suggestion electrified the growing audience. Phone cameras pushed closer, hoping to capture the body search footage. James returned from his call, radiating corporate confidence. My security team is 3 minutes out. Full background check, criminal history, outstanding warrants, the works. He studied Maya like a problem to be solved. We'll know everything about you within the hour. Senator Charles joined the tactical discussion. NYPD response time is 5 minutes. I may have implied this was a potential terrorist situation. He shrugged casually. Better safe than sorry. Maya looked at her watch again. This time, her composure slipped slightly. 5 minutes until the auction closes. The crowd sensed the approaching climax. Conversations quieted as guests positioned themselves for optimal viewing angles. This was better than any Broadway show. Victoria sensed the dramatic moment. 100,000 viewers, beautiful people. This is literally the most viral I've ever gone. She lowered her voice conspiratorially. I think she's about to completely break down. The museum's head of security received radio confirmation. Multiple units responding. ETA 4 minutes. Eleanor's triumphant smile was predatory. Perfect. I want this documented for legal proceedings, trespassing, disturbing the peace, probably attempted theft. Maya's phone lit up with what looked like a video call. She glanced at the screen, and for the first time all evening, her eyes widened slightly. Time's up, Senator Charles declared, pointing his cane at Maya's chest. No more delays, no more excuses. The security perimeter tightened. 8 guards, 4 family members, and 200 phone cameras formed concentric circles around one woman in a chocolate-stained dress. Victoria's stream hit its peak engagement. Comments flooded faster than anyone could read. This is better than Netflix. She looks terrified. About time. Get her. James's corporate security team entered the museum's main hall. Professional, efficient, carrying zip-tie restraints. They moved through the crowd with military precision. Maya stood completely surrounded. Every exit was blocked. Every escape route was monitored. The Rothel family had achieved total tactical superiority. Eleanor raised her voice for the gathered crowd. Let this be a lesson. There are consequences when people forget their place in society. The audience murmured approval. Social order was being restored. Maya's phone rang again. She looked at the caller ID, took a deep breath, and made a decision that would change everything. But instead of answering the call, she did something unexpected. She opened her phone screen and held it steady, facing the head of security. His expression changed instantly. The color drained from his weathered face as he read whatever was displayed. Sir, he whispered urgently to the museum director. We have a problem. Victoria's live stream captured his reaction in perfect high definition. 120,000 viewers watched a confident security chief transform into a man who had just seen a ghost. The museum director leaned in to look at Maya's phone screen. His knees buckled slightly. Oh my God, he breathed. Eleanor sensed something shifting. What's wrong? Just arrest her. But the security chief was already stepping backward, his hands raised in a gesture of surrender. The tide was about to turn. 3 minutes until the auction closes. Maya didn't speak. She simply turned her phone screen toward the crowd. The security chief stumbled backward like he'd been physically struck. His radio clattered to the marble floor, the sound echoing through the suddenly quiet hall. Stand down, he whispered hoarsely. All units, stand down immediately. The museum director's face went ashen as he read the screen. His trembling hand reached for the nearest wall for support, his knees threatening to buckle. Ma'am, we had no idea. Please accept our most sincere. What's on that phone? Eleanor demanded, her voice cracking with the first hint of uncertainty she'd shown all evening. Maya's screen displayed her Forbes profile in crystal clarity. Maya Lane Williams' net worth, $3.2 billion rank. #47, world's richest CEO, Meridian Aerospace Defense, largest private defense contractor, North America. Founded, 2019 vertical bar employees, 23,000 vertical bar revenue, $2, 1B. Below the profile, a text thread with the U.S. Secretary of Defense showed active messages. Maya, Pentagon needs your decision on the $1, 8B contract by midnight EST. China's situation is developing. Your input is required as soon as possible. Joint Chiefs meeting moved to 0800. Can you attend virtually? Taiwan defense package awaiting your approval signatures. Victoria's live stream exploded. 150,000 viewers watched her follower count spike in real time as screenshots flooded social media platforms worldwide. The comment section transformed instantly. Holy, that's Maya Lane Williams. She's literally a billionaire. The Rothwells are so done. I'm dying. This is the best plot twist ever. She owns half the military. Revenge is coming. James Rothel Jr. read the screen, and his phone slipped from nerveless fingers. The titanium device shattered against the marble, creating a sound like breaking dreams and shattered assumptions. That's not possible, he stammered, his corporate confidence evaporating. You look so normal. Maya's voice carried a quiet steel that could cut diamond. I don't need diamonds to prove my worth. Apparently, you do. The ripple effect spread through the crowd like wildfire consuming dry leaves. Guests who'd been recording Maya's humiliation now frantically deleted videos, horrified at their complicity in attacking one of the world's most powerful women. Board members who'd remained silent during the assault now pushed forward, desperate to distance themselves from the Rothel family's catastrophic mistake. Maya Williams, the museum chairman stammered, appearing from nowhere. I had no idea you were attending tonight. Your foundation's contribution was processed anonymously, and Senator Charles gripped his silver cane with white knuckles. His political survival instinct screamed danger as he recognized the scope of their mistake. Defense contracts, campaign contributions, committee appointments, all potentially destroyed by one family's arrogance. Eleanor's world tilted on its axis. 30 years of social dominance crumbled in 30 seconds of reading a phone screen. But you're dressed so simply, she whispered, grasping for logic in the chaos consuming her reality. Maya's expression remained unchanged. I prefer substance over flash. Apparently, that's a foreign concept to your family. Her second phone rang. The caller ID made James Jr.'s remaining color disappear entirely. Rothel Industries Board. Emergency session. Live. Below that notification, a cascade of missed calls painted a picture of global urgency. James Rothel Jr. 23 missed calls. Goldman Sachs. Private 15 missed calls. Pentagon Liaison Office. 31 missed calls. Bloomberg Terminal. 8 missed calls. White House Situation Room. 4 missed calls. NATO Defense Council. 2 missed calls. Maya declined the Rothel Industries call with deliberate slowness, her finger hovering over the screen for maximum psychological impact. Your board has been trying to reach me for the past hour, she said with casual precision. Something about contract renewals worth $847 million. The security team that had surrounded her moments before now backed away like she was radioactive material. Their confident formation dissolved into confused retreat as they realized they'd been seconds away from arresting a woman who advised the Pentagon on national security. Victoria's live stream hit 200,000 viewers. Her phone overheated from the traffic surge, but she kept filming with desperate intensity, her influencer instincts recognizing the viral gold mine she'd stumbled into. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, she whispered into the camera. This is literally the biggest plot twist in social media history. I can't even. My followers are breaking the internet. The museum director found his voice through sheer professional desperation. Miss Lane Williams, on behalf of the Metropolitan Museum, I deeply apologize for this inexcusable treatment of our most generous. Maya raised one hand slightly. The entire room fell silent, like a conductor had cut off an orchestra. I tried to tell you I belonged here. Her voice never rose above a conversational level, yet commanded absolute attention. I'm tonight's largest individual donor. Eleanor's legs gave out. She grabbed James's arm for support, her Cartier bracelet catching on his sleeve as she struggled to process the magnitude of their error. Largest? Donor? Eleanor croaked, her social supremacy crumbling. Maya reached into her simple clutch and produced a folded document. The letterhead was unmistakable. Metropolitan Museum of Art, Major Gifts Department. Pledge confirmation donor, Lane Williams Foundation amount, $50 million. Date, earlier today, purpose, contemporary artists of color wing processing status, completed. The number seemed to glow on the expensive paper, dwarfing every other contribution of the evening. James Jr.'s corporate mind finally grasped the implications. His company's biggest military contracts, their quarterly earnings reports, 15,000 jobs across 12 states. All dependent on the woman they'd just publicly humiliated in front of 200 witnesses and 200,000 live stream viewers. Maya, he whispered, using her first name for the first time, his voice breaking. The defense contracts, 47% of your annual revenue, she confirmed quietly. $847 million, your largest client relationship. Senator Charles's political calculus ran at light speed. His committee appointments, defense budget authorizations, campaign contributions from aerospace industries. His entire political career built on relationships Maya could destroy with a phone call, all connected to the woman he'd called a creature and threatened with his cane. The auction timer hit 0. Maya's deadline had passed, but somehow that seemed irrelevant now. Maya's voice cut through the stunned silence like a surgical blade. Since the Rothel family is so interested in my business, let me provide some comprehensive education. She pulled out a leather portfolio from her clutch, moving with the measured precision of someone accustomed to boardroom warfare. The portfolio was thick, organized with colored tabs and legal dividers. This was no spontaneous response. Mrs. Eleanor Rothel. Maya's eyes locked on the matriarch with laser focus. Your late husband's foundation, the one that bears your family name and builds your entire social reputation. Eleanor's face went white as Maya produced a document bearing official letterhead. Anonymous donor 0001 on all your tax filings. $200 million over 5 years. Every major donation attributed to your family's generosity. Maya's voice remained conversational, making the revelation more devastating. Your children's hospital wing, your scholarship programs, your art acquisitions, your homeless shelter funding. The leather portfolio opened to reveal more documents. Corporate filings, bank statements, wire transfer records. Each page was meticulously organized and legally verified. The Hamilton Rothel Foundation would collapse tomorrow without my continued support. 16 full-time employees would lose their jobs. 3 hospitals would lose critical funding. 12 scholarship recipients would see their education terminated. Your social legacy would become a historical footnote within 6 months. Eleanor grabbed the nearest chair, her Cartier bracelet trembling against the gold fabric as her world crumbled around her. Maya turned to James Jr., who stood frozen like prey, sensing a predator circling closer. Rothel Industries. Revenue last fiscal year, $2.1 billion. Maya's finger traced down a financial statement with corporate precision. My contracts through Meridian Aerospace, $847 million. That's 40% of your business, James. Nearly half your company's survival depends on my continued partnership. She pulled out another document, a thick legal contract bound in blue covers with official government seals. Defense Contract 47 Alpha, signed 18 months ago. Renewable annually at my sole discretion. 15,000 jobs across 12 states depend on this signature. Your stock price, your quarterly earnings, your board's confidence in your leadership. James's voice cracked with desperation. Maya, please, you have to understand. We didn't know. I understand perfectly. Maya's interruption was surgical in its precision. Page 47, subsection 12, Morality Clause. Quote, contractor reserves the right to terminate immediately for conduct detrimental to business relationships, public reputation, or organizational values. She turned the page with deliberate slowness, each rustle echoing in the silent hall. Page 51, subsection 18, Family Conduct Standards. Quote, executive family members and their associates representing company interests must maintain professional decorum, ethical behavior, and respectful conduct in all public forums and social gatherings. The legal language hung in the air like a death sentence, each word carefully chosen for maximum impact. Page 63, Cancellation Penalties. Quote, early termination for cause results in immediate forfeit of all future contracted revenues, plus liquidated damages of $340 million. James physically staggered as the numbers hit him. His company couldn't survive losing Maya's business and paying penalties simultaneously. Victoria tried desperately to salvage her digital empire. Maya, I can delete the live stream immediately, issue a public apology, do whatever you, 2.8 million followers. Maya didn't look up from her documents, her disinterest more devastating than anger. Average engagement rate of 12%. Daily reach of 300,000 people. Your lifestyle brand partnerships generate $4.2 million annually. Maya produced another folder, thicker than the others. Victoria's heart sank as she recognized corporate logos scattered across the documents. Luxury Fashion Collective, your primary sponsor. My investment firm, Meridian Capital, owns a 63% equity stake through our luxury goods portfolio. Maya's finger traced down the page methodically. Contract termination clause allows immediate cancellation for reputational damage to brand partners. Victoria's phone, still somehow recording despite overheating, captured her complete psychological breakdown in high definition. Hermes Partnership. Terminated with cause. Forfeits $2.1 million in annual fees. Tiffany collaboration. Morality clause violation. Results in lawsuit for brand damage. Bergdorf Goodman exclusive arrangements. My retail investment fund controls their partnership budget allocation. Maya flipped to another tab in Victoria's folder. Your Manhattan penthouse mortgage, held by Meridian Real Estate Investment Trust. Your Range Rover lease, financed through our automotive lending division. Your daughter's private school tuition, funded by a scholarship from our education foundation. The scope of Maya's financial web became terrifyingly clear. She didn't just influence Victoria's career, she controlled her entire lifestyle. One phone call terminates every partnership contract, every financing arrangement, every foundation grant. Your influencer career, your home, your transportation, your daughter's education, all disappear before sunrise. Senator Charles tried to invoke political immunity with trembling authority. Maya, surely you understand the complexities of government relationships. $12 million. Maya's interruption was absolute and crushing. Your campaign contributions over 6 election cycles. My political action committee, Defense Industries United, plus subsidiary PACs in Delaware, Virginia, and Texas. She pulled out campaign finance reports with surgical precision, each page marked with highlighter and legal annotations. Committee on Armed Services. Your appointment came with my written endorsement to Senate leadership. Defense Appropriations. Subcommittee. I testified personally in support of your confirmation before 14 senators. The senator's silver cane shook uncontrollably in his grip. That military base in your district. 15,000 civilian jobs. My company operates the entire facility under exclusive government contract. Annual economic impact. $800 million to your state's economy. Maya turned to a page marked with red tabs, the most serious classification. Security clearance reviews can be triggered by ethics investigations. One formal complaint about discrimination against defense contractors results in immediate suspension of all classified project access. Base operations shut down pending investigation. 15,000 people are unemployed. Your state's economy is devastated. Your political career is terminated. Maya closed the portfolio and addressed all 4 family members simultaneously. Her voice carried the authority of someone who'd negotiated with heads of state and commanded global resources. Here's what happens next. Each of you has exactly one choice: compliance or total destruction. Her words settled over them like concrete, permanent and inescapable. Mrs. Eleanor, public apology, broadcast live across all major social media platforms within 24 hours. Immediate resignation from 3 charity boards with written statements explaining your discriminatory behavior. $10 million donation to the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, processed and confirmed within 48 hours. Eleanor's mouth opened and closed soundlessly, her social supremacy collapsing. Alternative. I withdraw all anonymous funding from the Hamilton Rothel Foundation, effective immediately. $200 million disappears overnight. The foundation declares bankruptcy. Your husband's name becomes associated with charity fraud. Your social reputation dies permanently with his legacy. Maya turned to James with predatory corporate focus. James Rothel Jr., public apology broadcast to all employees and shareholders within 12 hours. Mandatory unconscious bias training implemented for all executive staff within 30 days. 3 qualified African-American executives promoted to C-suite positions before quarter end. Public diversity reports published quarterly. James's corporate survival instinct screamed warnings as he calculated the cascading consequences. Alternative. I invoke morality clause termination immediately. $847 million in contracts canceled within 72 hours. Stock price drops 60% to 80%. Your board votes you out within 1 week. 15,000 people lose their jobs before Christmas. The company enters bankruptcy proceedings by February. Victoria whimpered audibly as Maya's attention shifted to her with clinical precision. Victoria Rothel Sterling. Delete all original live stream content immediately. Record and publish a sincere public apology video to your followers within 6 hours. 1 full year promoting exclusively Black-owned businesses on your platform. Donate 100% of influencer earnings to minority entrepreneur funds with public accounting. Victoria's phone finally died completely, ending the live stream that had simultaneously made and destroyed her career. Alternative. I contact every major brand partner immediately. All sponsorship deals terminated for moral turpitude. Influencer career destroyed permanently. Legal action for defamation and harassment. You become a case study about privilege, consequences, and social media responsibility. Senator Charles received the final, most politically devastating ultimatum. Senator Charles Rothel. Public testimony supporting expanded anti-discrimination legislation within 30 days. Return my $12 million in campaign contributions to established civil rights organizations with public documentation. Co-sponsor 3 major equality bills in the next congressional session with active promotion. The political implications crashed over him like a tsunami of career destruction. Alternative. I testify before the Senate Ethics Committee about tonight's events with full documentation. Security clearance investigations begin immediately for discrimination against classified defense contractors. Your political career ends in scandal and possible criminal charges. That military base in your district closes permanently, devastating your state's economy. Maya checked her watch with casual precision, the gesture more intimidating than any threat. You have exactly 60 seconds to decide. Compliance with my terms, or complete destruction of everything you've built. The museum hall had become a courtroom where privilege faced judgment and found itself utterly powerless. Eleanor broke first, her voice cracking like ancien porcelain. I accept your terms completely. The matriarch who had commanded New York society for 3 decades now sounded like a frightened child. Her Cartier bracelet caught the light as her hand trembled against the chair. James followed within seconds, corporate survival instincts overriding pride. Meridian Aerospace will receive full compliance from Rothel Industries. All requirements will be met ahead of schedule. His voice carried the hollow tone of a CEO who just watched his empire transform from kingdom to vassal state. Victoria nodded frantically, unable to speak through tears that had destroyed her perfectly applied makeup. Her influencer empire had crumbled in real time before 200,000 viewers. Senator Charles straightened his shoulders with the dignity of a man facing inevitable political death. I accept full responsibility for my actions and commit to your proposed legislative agenda. Maya's portfolio closed with a soft, leather whisper that sounded like a gavel ending court proceedings. Excellent. My legal team will deliver detailed compliance documents within 48 hours. Failure to meet any deadline results in immediate implementation of all consequences. She gathered her documents with the methodical precision of someone who just dismantled 4 lives and rebuilt them according to her moral specifications. 6 months later, the Rothel transformation. The changes began within hours of Maya's ultimatum. Eleanor's public apology video, recorded in her Park Avenue penthouse, garnered 15 million views in its first day. Her voice shook as she addressed the camera directly. I allowed privilege to blind me to human dignity. My behavior was inexcusable, discriminatory, and violated every value I claimed to represent. The $10 million wire transfer to the NAACP appeared on screen as she spoke, time-stamped and verified. Within a week, Eleanor had resigned from the boards of 3 major charitable organizations. Each resignation letter citing her need to confront unconscious bias and systemic discrimination. The Hamilton Rothel Foundation received its largest ever anonymous donation, $50 million from Maya's personal account, ensuring continuity while Eleanor learned to lead with humility instead of supremacy. James Rothel Jr. faced the most complex transformation. His public apology to Rothel Industries employees was broadcast during an emergency company-wide meeting. 15,000 workers across 12 states watched their CEO acknowledge his family's inexcusable discrimination against our most valued business partner. The unconscious bias training program implementation became a case study in corporate reform. Maya's consultants designed a comprehensive curriculum covering historical discrimination, unconscious bias recognition, and inclusive leadership practices. Every executive, manager, and supervisor completed 40 hours of training within 30 days. The 3 African-American executives promoted to C-suite positions were not tokens. They were highly qualified professionals Maya had identified through industry networks. Dr. Patricia Williams became Chief Innovation Officer, bringing 20 years of aerospace engineering experience. Marcus Johnson assumed the role of Chief Financial Officer, transferring from Goldman Sachs with Maya's recommendation. Angela Thompson became Chief Operating Officer, previously running supply chain operations for Boeing. The quarterly diversity reports became models for industry transparency. Rothel Industries published detailed demographic breakdowns, promotion statistics, and pay equity analyses. Other defense contractors began adopting similar reporting standards, creating industry-wide accountability. Victoria's transformation proved the most publicly visible. Her apology video, recorded without makeup in natural lighting, received 23 million views and became a template for authentic social media accountability. I weaponized my privilege and platform to harm someone who had done nothing wrong. I amplified discrimination to hundreds of thousands of people for entertainment. Her voice was raw, unfiltered by her usual influencer persona. I'm dedicating the next year to learning, growing, and using my platform to support businesses owned by people I helped marginalize. Her year-long commitment to promoting Black-owned businesses transformed her content strategy entirely. Instead of luxury lifestyle posts, Victoria featured entrepreneurs, interviewed business owners, and directed her millions of followers toward supporting minority-owned enterprises. Her engagement rates initially dropped 40%, but her content quality and authenticity improved dramatically. The financial commitment proved substantial. Victoria's influencer earnings, approximately $4 million annually, were donated to the Minority Business Development Fund, with public accounting published monthly. Her followers watched her transition from a privileged lifestyle showcase to a genuine business advocate. Senator Charles faced the most politically dangerous transformation. His public testimony before the Senate Judiciary Committee supporting expanded anti-discrimination legislation was broadcast on C-SPAN and widely covered by major news networks. My behavior demonstrated exactly why stronger legal protections are necessary. When people in positions of power face no consequences for discriminatory conduct, we create systems that perpetuate inequality. His testimony helped pass 3 major bills: the Workplace Dignity Act, the Corporate Accountability and Defense Contracting Act, and the Social Media Platform Responsibility Act. Returning the $12 million in campaign contributions required intricate legal maneuvering. The funds were distributed to established civil rights organizations: $4 million to the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, $3 million to the Southern Poverty Law Center, $2 million to the National Urban League, and $3 million to local civil rights organizations in his home state. The political cost was significant but manageable. Charles's approval ratings dropped 20% initially, but his authentic transformation and legislative achievements helped him recover. His military base remained operational under Maya's contracts, preserving 15,000 jobs and $800 million in annual economic impact. Systemic industry changes. The Rothel Protocols. Maya's victory extended far beyond one family's transformation. The incident became a catalyst for industry-wide reform, with new standards that became known as the Rothel Protocols. Defense industry reform. 70. 3 major defense contractors adopted family-inclusive morality clauses within 6 months. Executive family members' public conduct became contractually relevant to business relationships. The Defense Contractors Association established an ethics hotline for reporting discriminatory behavior by contractors or their families. Corporate accountability measures. Fortune 500 companies began implementing dignity policies requiring respectful conduct from executives and their families at public events. Stock markets started factoring discrimination incidents into risk assessments, with documented bias creating measurable share price volatility. Social media platform changes. Major platforms developed anti-harassment policies, specifically addressing live stream discrimination. Victoria's original stream became a training example for content moderators learning to identify and interrupt real-time harassment. Museum and cultural institution reform. The Metropolitan Museum implemented mandatory dignity training for all board members, staff, and major donors. Other cultural institutions adopted similar policies, recognizing that fundraising events could not become venues for discrimination without consequences. The Maya Lane Williams effect. Maya's approach created a new model for addressing systemic discrimination. Instead of seeking revenge or publicity, she used economic leverage to create lasting institutional change. Her methods were studied in business schools as examples of constructive corporate warfare using market power to enforce social justice. The Hamilton Rothel Memorial Wing opened with great fanfare. Eleanor stood beside Maya during the ribbon-cutting ceremony, both women having found unexpected mutual respect through the transformation process. The wing featured contemporary artists of color whose work had been historically underrepresented in major museums. Maya's net worth grew to $4.5 billion over 6 months, partly due to positive publicity from the incident. Her approach to discrimination measured, strategic, and focused on systemic change rather than personal destruction, attracted new investors and government contracts. The unexpected redemption. Perhaps most remarkably, the Rothel family members genuinely changed. Eleanor became a vocal advocate for examining privilege and unconscious bias among wealthy philanthropists. James, Jr., discovered that inclusive leadership improved company performance and employee satisfaction. Victoria found deeper fulfillment in supporting entrepreneurs than showcasing luxury goods. Senator Charles learned that courage in admitting mistakes could strengthen, rather than destroy, political careers. Maya had proven that dignity and strategic thinking could defeat privilege and prejudice. Her quiet power had restructured not just 4 lives, but entire industries. The woman who'd been slapped and humiliated had responded by building a more just world, one contract and one conversation at a time. 2 years later, the legacy of quiet power. Maya Williams stood at the podium of the World Economic Forum, addressing 2,000 global leaders. Her simple black dress, remarkably similar to the one stained with chocolate at the Met Gala, commanded absolute attention without shouting for it. "True power doesn't announce itself," she said, her voice carrying easily across the silent auditorium. "It builds systems that outlast the moment." The Rothel incident had become legendary in business schools, political science courses, and social justice movements worldwide. Harvard Business School's case study, The Maya Protocol, Economic Leverage for Social Change, was required reading across multiple MBA programs. Where they are now. Maya Lane Williams had transformed from billionaire CEO to a global icon of strategic activism. Her net worth reached $4.8 billion, but more importantly, her methods had been replicated by marginalized leaders across industries. The Maya method, using economic leverage to create systemic, rather than punitive change, influenced corporate responses to discrimination worldwide. She married Pentagon Deputy Secretary Michael Harrison in a ceremony that made headlines for its elegant simplicity and powerful guest list, spanning government, business, and civil rights leadership. Their partnership combined defense innovation with social justice advocacy. Mrs. Eleanor Rothel became an unlikely champion of examining privilege among the wealthy elite. Her book, Unlearning Supremacy, A Privileged Woman's Journey, topped New York Times bestseller lists for 12 weeks. She donated all proceeds to civil rights organizations and spent her remaining years mentoring wealthy families on confronting unconscious bias. Her transformation was genuine, not performative. Eleanor's friendship with Maya developed slowly but authentically, built on a shared commitment to justice, rather than social positioning. James Rothel Jr. discovered that inclusive leadership dramatically improved business performance. Rothel Industries became the defense industry's most diverse company, with measurable improvements in innovation, employee satisfaction, and financial performance. His company's stock price increased 47% over 2 years. He stepped down as CEO voluntarily, becoming an executive coach, specializing in helping traditional companies embrace diversity. His marriage to Dr. Patricia Williams, the chief innovation officer he'd promoted at Maya's direction, was celebrated as both a personal love story and symbolic of institutional change. Victoria Rothel Sterling emerged as social media's most influential advocate for supporting minority-owned businesses. Her follower count grew to 4.2 million people who valued substance over superficiality. She married civil rights attorney Marcus Thompson, whom she met while volunteering at a legal aid clinic. Her platform generated over $200 million in revenue for Black-owned businesses during her commitment year. She continued promoting diverse entrepreneurs long after her obligation ended, finding deeper fulfillment than her previous lifestyle content ever provided. Senator Charles Rothel became the unlikely bipartisan champion of anti-discrimination legislation. His political courage in admitting mistakes and championing change earned respect across party lines. He was re-elected by his widest margin ever, with strong support from communities he'd previously alienated. His granddaughter, adopted from foster care and of mixed race, became his proudest achievement. Her presence in his life completed his transformation from a prejudiced politician to a genuine equality advocate. The ripple effect continues. The incident's impact extended far beyond 4 individuals. Rothel protocols were adopted by 847 major corporations worldwide. Discrimination incidents at public events dropped by 73% in major cities. Social media platforms reported 60% fewer harassment live streams after implementing policies inspired by Victoria's original broadcast. Maya's foundation awarded $500 million in grants to minority-owned businesses over 2 years. Her investment firm directed $3 billion toward companies with diverse leadership. Her influence helped pass federal legislation requiring public companies to report diversity metrics in government contracting. The deeper truth. Maya's victory represented more than one woman defeating a powerful family. It proved that dignity, strategy, and economic leverage could restructure entire systems. Her response to discrimination created lasting change for millions of people who would never know her name. She demonstrated that the most powerful revenge was building a more just world. Every contract signed, every policy changed, every bias training session conducted was a victory multiplied across time and space. The lesson lives on. Maya's story became a roadmap for anyone facing systemic discrimination. Don't just survive the assault. Use it as leverage to create change that prevents others from experiencing the same treatment. Her approach inspired a generation of leaders to think strategically about justice, using economic and political power to build equity rather than seeking individual revenge. Your story matters. Every person facing discrimination has power, even when it doesn't feel that way. Maya's quiet dignity in that moment of humiliation became the foundation for global change. The most powerful response to humiliation isn't anger. It's strategy. Maya didn't just win an argument, she dismantled the very systems that allowed her attackers to feel powerful, proving that true strength lies not in who you can crush, but in what you can build. When was a time you were underestimated? How did you handle it? Share your story in the comments below. For more stories of incredible resilience and strategic victory, subscribe to the channel. The entire restaurant went silent as Rachel Morrison flicked $47.83 straight into the trash bin, an act of public humiliation that would soon unravel her entire world. "Keep the change, boy," she sneered. "Buy yourself some better clothes." Bills disappeared between coffee grounds and food waste. She wiped her fingers on a napkin as if touching the money disgusted her. Marcus Thompson's jaw clenched. "Did you just... what? Throw away pocket change?" Rachel's voice rose deliberately. "That ratty outfit screams, you need every penny. Maybe try the soup kitchen down the street." A businessman gasped. A college student's camera was already rolling. Kitchen staff emerged to stare. Rachel grabbed disinfectant spray and doused the counter where Marcus had placed his money. "We maintain standards here." The 3-4-year-old stood frozen as his cash sat buried in garbage. His expensive leather portfolio suddenly felt meaningless. Have you ever watched someone strip away your dignity in public, while having no idea you held the power to destroy their entire world? Rachel's eyes swept Marcus from head to toe, like a predator sizing up prey. "Sir, are you absolutely certain you can afford our prices? This isn't McDonald's." She spoke slowly, enunciating each word as if addressing a confused child. Her body language screamed superiority. Arms crossed, weight shifted back, chin tilted up in barely concealed disgust. The digital health inspection countdown displayed 8 minutes remaining in red letters above the kitchen pass. "I'd like to speak with your manager," Marcus said calmly. "Honey, you're looking at her." Rachel's laugh was sharp, brittle. "And I'm telling you, this establishment caters to a different clientele, people with actual standards." Behind Marcus, a white businessman in an identical button-down approached the counter. Rachel's transformation was instant and surgical. Her shoulders dropped, her smile brightened like theater lights, and her voice turned to honey. "Good afternoon. What can I get started for you today, sir?" "Large cappuccino, no foam," the man said curtly, barely looking up from his phone. "Absolutely. Coming right up." She moved with practiced efficiency, pulling espresso shots with careful attention. "Beautiful weather today, isn't it? Perfect for outdoor dining." The contrast was devastating in its precision. Same counter, same minute, completely different human being. Marcus watched this performance with a growing, cold understanding. College student Chloe Jensen fumbled with her phone in the corner booth. Her thumb found Facebook Live. "Y'all seeing this racism happening right now at Pinnacle Bistro? This manager just threw this black man's money in the trash and now she's treating this white guy like royalty." "Excuse me, miss." Rachel's voice cut across the restaurant like a blade. "We don't allow filming here. It's company policy." "It's a public establishment," Chloe replied, adjusting her angle to capture more of the counter. "Not for much longer. If you keep that up, I can have you removed for harassment." The threat hung in the air like smoke. Marcus remained perfectly still, watching Rachel serve the businessman his cappuccino in an elegant ceramic cup, while his own coffee sat cooling in a cheap paper-to-go cup, despite his explicit request to dine in. The businessman glanced between Marcus and Rachel, clearly uncomfortable with the obvious differential treatment. He collected his drink quickly, avoiding eye contact, and retreated to a corner table. Marcus adjusted his leather portfolio against his ribs. The corner of a first-class boarding pass Delta Sky Club VIP access peeked from the zippered pocket. His iPhone 15 Pro Max buzzed insistently against his chest. Notifications cascaded down the lock screen in rapid succession. Board meeting moved to 3 p.m. Legal documents ready for signature. Acquisition approved. Congratulations. He silenced the phone with a practiced gesture, but not before the Platinum American Express Centurion card in his phone case caught the overhead light. The distinctive black card gleamed for just a moment. The businessman at the corner table noticed it and did a visible double-take at Marcus's impossibly calm demeanor. "Interesting morning," Marcus murmured quietly, more to himself than anyone else. His watch, an understated Patek Philippe Calatrava worth more than most cars, displayed 11:53 a.m. Rachel continued her performance, wiping already spotless surfaces while shooting calculating glances his way. The kitchen staff whispered among themselves in rapid Spanish, stealing looks at the man who'd been publicly humiliated yet seemed strangely unbothered. A server emerged from the kitchen. Ana, according to her name tag, carrying a tray of food. She paused, taking in the scene. Her eyes met Marcus's for a split second. He saw recognition there, perhaps empathy. She'd witnessed this before. "Sir?" Rachel's voice dripped with false concern, like poisoned honey. "You've been standing there quite a while. Are you having some kind of episode? Should I call someone for you?" Marcus's response was measured, each word carefully chosen. "Just observing. Sometimes people reveal exactly who they are when they think there are no consequences." The words landed with a quiet weight that seemed to reverberate through the restaurant. Rachel's confident mask flickered for just a moment. Something in his tone, his preternatural stillness, didn't match the narrative she'd constructed in her head. "Well, observe from somewhere else. You're making our other customers uncomfortable with your loitering." Marcus glanced slowly around the restaurant. The businessman at his table pretended to read emails while obviously listening. Chloe continued filming despite Rachel's warnings, her viewer count climbing. An elderly couple near the window whispered behind their menus, the woman shaking her head in disapproval. A mother with 2 young children kept looking between Marcus and Rachel with obvious discomfort, not at Marcus, but at Rachel's behavior. "I don't think I'm the one making people uncomfortable," Marcus replied with quiet certainty. His portfolio shifted slightly as he adjusted his stance. The official letterhead became visible through the leather, Pinnacle Restaurant Group in corporate blue and gold. Rachel was too focused on maintaining her authority performance to notice the irony inches from her face. The health inspector's countdown now read 5 minutes in increasingly urgent red digits. "Look, I don't know what your game is." "No game." Marcus's voice carried a strange certainty that seemed to unnerve her further, just waiting to see how this plays out. Rachel's carefully maintained patience evaporated completely. She grabbed the counter phone with theatrical flair, making sure her performance was visible to everyone in the restaurant. "Security to the front counter, immediately! We have an aggressive customer situation requiring immediate intervention." "Aggressive?" Marcus raised an eyebrow, his voice remaining level. "I've been standing here quietly for 5 minutes making a simple request." "Quietly intimidating our staff and customers," Rachel's voice projected across the restaurant like a courthouse lawyer. "Sir, I'm going to need you to leave immediately before this escalates further, and I'm forced to involve law enforcement." Chloe's live stream viewer count climbed steadily. 200, 300, 500 viewers. Comments flooded in faster than she could read them. "This is insane. Get his name. Someone call corporate. This is straight-up racism." The hashtag number Pinnacle Bistro Racism began appearing in real time across multiple social platforms. "I'd like to file a formal complaint with corporate," Marcus said with professional calm. "Could you provide me with headquarters contact information? Our system is down." The lie came effortlessly, practiced. "It has been all morning. Computer problems. How convenient." The dry sarcasm in those 2 words seemed to unnerve her more than any shouting could have. Rachel's confident facade developed visible hairline cracks. She'd expected anger, shouting, threats, anything that would justify her next escalation. Marcus's unnatural calm was deeply unsettling. Security guard Mike Sullivan emerged from the back office. a burly man in his 50s whose uniform strained against his considerable gut, his eyes immediately fixed on Marcus as the obvious source of the problem. What's the situation here? This individual has been harassing staff and refusing to leave when repeatedly asked, Rachel explained smoothly, her story already perfected. He's been standing there making everyone uncomfortable for over 15 minutes. Mike nodded with practiced professional authority. Sir, I'm going to have to ask you to exit the premises immediately. For standing quietly and attempting to file a complaint. For trespassing after being asked to leave private property. The legal terminology felt rehearsed, polished. This wasn't Mike's first rodeo with problem customers. Marcus glanced at the health inspection timer. 2 minutes flashed urgently. Before I go, Marcus said slowly, his voice carrying an odd finality. There's something everyone should probably know. Rachel's eyes narrowed dangerously. We're not interested in threats or dramatics. Not a threat. Just context that might be relevant. The restaurant held its collective breath. Chloe's phone captured everything. The businessman stopped pretending to check email. Even the kitchen staff had gone quiet, sensing something significant was about to happen. Marcus reached deliberately for his leather portfolio. I wouldn't do that if I were you, Mike warned, his hand moving instinctively toward his radio. Keep your hands visible. Just getting my business card, Marcus said with perfect calm. His fingers found the leather zipper. The sound seemed unnaturally loud in the sudden silence. The zipper's metallic whisper cut through the silence like a knife. Marcus's hand moved with deliberate slowness, each motion calculated to maximize suspense. Rachel's eyes locked onto the portfolio as if it might explode. Step away from whatever you're reaching for, Mike commanded, his radio crackling to life. Security situation at front counter. Request immediate backup. Marcus paused, his fingers still on the zipper pull. I'm simply retrieving identification, as requested. The health inspection timer flashed 90 seconds in blood-red digits. Through the kitchen pass, Inspector Davis appeared, a stern woman in her 50s clutching a clipboard, clearly annoyed by the commotion disrupting her carefully planned schedule. What's the delay here? She called out sharply. I have 3 more locations today, and I'm already running behind. Rachel's head snapped toward the kitchen, panic flashing across her features like lightning. The inspection she'd been dreading was happening during her worst possible moment. Sweat beaded on her forehead despite the restaurant's aggressive air conditioning. No delay, Inspector, she called back, her voice strained and artificial. Just handling a minor customer service issue. Handle it faster. I start docking points for operational disruptions. This chaos is affecting your staff's focus. The threat landed like a physical blow. Pinnacle Bistro's profit margins depended entirely on maintaining their pristine health grade. Rachel's job, her career, her entire future depended on that inspection going smoothly. Her carefully constructed authority was crumbling from multiple directions simultaneously. Marcus watched this exchange with growing interest, his expression unreadable. Seems like poor timing. Shut up, Rachel hissed, then immediately caught herself. The professional mask was slipping badly. Sir, please just leave quietly and we can forget this whole misunderstanding. What misunderstanding, exactly? Marcus's voice carried a deadly calm. You threw my money in the trash, called it worthless, treated me like garbage in front of everyone here. His eyes swept the restaurant deliberately. These people witnessed everything. They're filming everything. Chloe's live stream had exploded to 1,200 viewers and was climbing rapidly. Comments poured in. This is going viral. Someone identify this restaurant. Call the local news. This is insane racism. The hashtag number Pinnacle Bistro Racism was spreading across Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram simultaneously. The businessman at the corner table had abandoned all pretense of working on his laptop. His iPhone was out, recording everything from multiple angles. Even the elderly couple had stopped eating, watching the drama unfold with wide, shocked eyes. 3 more customers entered, a young professional couple and an older man in an expensive charcoal suit that screamed executive authority. They immediately sensed the thick tension, their conversation dying as they took in the scene. Folks, please take any available table, Rachel called out, her voice artificially bright. We'll be with you momentarily. The new customers exchanged concerned glances but remained near the entrance, unsure whether to stay or flee. The man in the expensive suit looked familiar. His face carried the unmistakable authority of someone used to being recognized. Mike stepped closer, attempting to regain control. Sir, I'm going to count to 3. 1. Officer Chen is en route, came the crackling voice through his radio. ETA 4 minutes. Requesting situation details. Marcus's eyebrow raised with what might have been amusement. You called the police for someone requesting to file a complaint. You're trespassing on private property, Mike replied, though his conviction was visibly wavering. The situation felt increasingly wrong. On what legal grounds? I made a legitimate purchase, received discriminatory service, and requested to speak with management about filing a formal complaint. Which specific part constitutes criminal trespassing? The legal precision of Marcus's language seemed to genuinely unnerve Mike. This wasn't the typical problem customer. This man spoke like a lawyer. Inspector Davis emerged from the kitchen, her clipboard now thick with violation notices. Her expression was thunderous. Miss Morrison, I need you to address these critical sanitation issues immediately. The hand-washing station lacks proper soap dispensers. 3 prep surfaces show cross-contamination risk. Your staff appears insufficiently trained, and your food storage temperatures are dangerously inconsistent. Rachel's face went completely white. Each violation could cost thousands in fines, not to mention the devastating downgrade in their health rating. Inspector, I can explain. Explanations don't fix health code violations. I need immediate corrective action. The timer now read 45 seconds. Rachel was drowning, caught between the health inspector, the spiraling security situation, and the viral live stream broadcasting her professional humiliation. Marcus observed this escalating chaos with the patience of someone watching a perfectly orchestrated plan unfold. His portfolio remained partially unzipped, its contents still hidden. Perhaps, he said quietly, his voice carrying across the silent restaurant, we should wait for the police. Let them sort out who actually belongs here and who doesn't. The words carried an undertone that made Rachel's blood run cold. There was something in his absolute, unshakable confidence that didn't fit. The man in the expensive suit near the door stepped forward purposefully. Excuse me, but isn't this Pinnacle Bistro? His voice carried unmistakable authority. Yes, sir, Rachel replied, desperately grateful for a normal customer. How can we help you today? I'm David Reed, Regional Director for the Metro Restaurant Association. I was supposed to meet someone here about a potential multi-million-dollar partnership opportunity. His sharp eyes swept the chaotic scene, the security guard, the filming college student, the police sirens growing louder, the man with the mysterious portfolio. Is this your normal operating procedure? Rachel's world tilted further. The Metro Restaurant Association controlled licensing and partnerships for dozens of major chains. Mr. Reed, please. This is just a minor situation we're handling. It doesn't look minor from where I'm standing. Reed's voice was ice cold. It looks like blatant discriminatory treatment being live-streamed to hundreds of viewers. Chloe looked up from her phone, eyes wide. 1,800 viewers now, and climbing fast. The number hit Rachel like a physical blow. Her career, her reputation, the restaurant's image all being systematically destroyed. Health inspection complete. The digital timer flashed, then went ominously dark. Inspector Davis returned from the kitchen, her expression grimmer than before. Miss Morrison, Pinnacle Bistro receives a conditional pass pending immediate remediation of 14 separate health code violations. You have exactly 72 hours to address these critical issues or face mandatory closure proceedings. 14 violations. Rachel's knees nearly buckled. The number was catastrophic, enough to trigger a corporate investigation and potential franchise termination. 14? Her voice was barely a whisper. Staff hygiene, equipment maintenance, food storage temperatures, sanitation procedures, pest control measures. Shall I continue reading the complete list? Marcus shifted his weight slightly. The subtle movement drew every eye. His portfolio crinkled softly. Interesting timing, he murmured again. Police sirens wailed, stopping right outside. Officer Chen was arriving to sort out a trespassing situation that was looking far less clear-cut. Rachel realized with growing horror that she'd made a cascading series of catastrophic mistakes. The health inspection failure, the viral live stream, the association director witnessing everything, and somehow, at the center of it all, this quiet man seemed to be orchestrating her complete destruction with supernatural calm. The kitchen staff had emerged. Anna, the server, stood with her arms crossed, watching Rachel's downfall with undisguised satisfaction. She'd seen this behavior before. Maybe, Marcus said softly, his voice cutting through the chaos. We should all wait to see what's in here before anyone makes decisions they can't unmake. His fingers resumed their slow, deliberate movement on the zipper. The sound was unnaturally loud. The zipper opened with deliberate precision. He withdrew a single business card, first pristine white cardstock with embossed gold lettering. He placed it on the marble counter between himself and Rachel, with the ceremony of laying down a royal flush. Rachel's eyes dropped to read it. Her face went from white to gray to green. Marcus Thompson, CEO, Thompson Hospitality Solutions. Below it, smaller text, specializing in restaurant acquisitions and operational restructuring. Mike squinted at the card over Rachel's shoulder, his authority visibly crumbling. His hand moved slowly away from his radio. What's Thompson Hospitality Solutions? We acquire underperforming restaurant properties. Marcus's voice remained perfectly calm. Turn them around. Sometimes, that involves significant staffing changes. The police sirens had stopped. Car doors slammed. Heavy footsteps approached. Officer Chen entered, a tall woman in her 40s with sharp eyes that immediately assessed the chaotic scene. Someone called about a trespassing situation? Marcus turned to face her calmly, extending his hand. Officer Chen, I'm Marcus Thompson. I own this restaurant as of this morning. He handed her his business card and the acquisition documents. This manager threw my money in the trash and had me threatened with arrest for attempting to file a complaint about discriminatory service. Chen examined the documents carefully, her trained eyes checking watermarks and signatures. Her expression shifted dramatically. These look completely legitimate. Miss Morrison? Rachel choked, her world crashing down. Miss Morrison, you called to report trespassing by the property owner. Rachel's mouth opened and closed like a fish drowning in air. No words came out. David Reed stepped forward decisively, his corporate instincts engaged. Officer, I'm David Reed with the Metro Restaurant Association. I witnessed this entire incident. This manager exhibited clear discriminatory behavior, threw the owner's money in the garbage, and created an actively hostile environment. Marcus reached into his portfolio one final time. He withdrew a manila folder labeled Operational Assessment, confidential in red letters. I came here today for a routine inspection before taking operational control tomorrow. What I discovered, he said, was deeply illuminating. He opened the folder, revealing dozens of photographs, security camera screenshots showing Rachel's behavior with previous customers over months. A documented pattern of discrimination in painful, undeniable detail. These images are from your own security system, Miss Morrison. Downloaded this morning during the ownership transfer process. His voice carried quiet authority. Incident after incident, always the exact same pattern of behavior. Rachel stared at the photos like they were evidence of war crimes. Her career, her reputation, her future, all evaporating. There's also this comprehensive file. He produced a thick stack of customer complaints bound with legal ribbons. 47 formal complaints filed with corporate headquarters in the past 18 months alone, all describing identical treatment. All systematically ignored by management. Inspector Davis stepped forward, her professional curiosity piqued. Mr. Thompson, those 14 health violations I documented, were you aware of these operational deficiencies? I suspected systematic problems. That's precisely why I conducted personal reconnaissance before taking operational control. Marcus's eyes found Rachel's and held them. I wanted to observe the operation at its most authentic level. The devastating weight of his words settled over everyone. This hadn't been random bad luck. This had been a deliberate, calculated test, a professional evaluation that Rachel had failed more spectacularly than anyone could have imagined. Mike looked deeply confused and embarrassed. Sir, I sincerely apologize. I had no idea. You did exactly what you were trained to do, Marcus replied without malice. Respond to management's emergency call. Assess the situation based on their information. The systemic failure wasn't yours. Officer Chen was taking detailed notes. Miss Morrison, filing a false police report is a Class A misdemeanor. Discrimination in a place of public accommodation constitutes a civil rights violation. Do you understand the serious legal implications of what happened here? Rachel finally found her voice, though it came out as a whisper. I didn't know. How was I supposed to know who he was? You weren't supposed to know, Marcus said with devastating simplicity. That was entirely the point of this exercise. How you treated someone you perceived as powerless revealed your authentic character. The businessman who'd witnessed the differential treatment approached hesitantly. Mr. Thompson, I saw everything from beginning to end. The way she treated you versus how she immediately served me. It was deeply disturbing. Marcus nodded acknowledgement. Thank you for staying to witness the resolution. Chloe looked up from her phone, eyes wide. 2,300 viewers now and climbing. This is literally the most insane thing I've ever seen. The elderly couple approached the counter. The woman spoke in a voice shaking with righteous anger. Young man, that was the most disgraceful behavior we've witnessed in 50 years of dining out. That manager should be utterly ashamed. She threw your hard-earned money away like garbage, the man added. In our day, that would have been grounds for immediate termination. In our day too, sir. Marcus smiled genuinely for the first time. Thank you. Rachel's legs finally gave out. She grabbed the counter for support, her world in ruins. David Reed pulled out his business card with obvious respect. Mr. Thompson, the Metro Restaurant Association would be deeply honored to discuss partnership opportunities with someone of your demonstrated integrity. I'd welcome that conversation, Marcus replied warmly. Officer Chen closed her notepad. Miss Morrison, I strongly suggest you consult with an attorney. Mr. Thompson, do you wish to press formal charges for filing a false report? Marcus looked at Rachel, truly looked at her. She was young, overwhelmed, but the casual cruelty she displayed wasn't born from stress. It came from somewhere deeper. Officer, I believe Miss Morrison has learned something vitally important today. Sometimes natural consequences teach more effectively than criminal charges. Rachel looked up with desperate gratitude, then immediately away in crushing shame. However, Marcus continued, his voice carrying unmistakable steel, her employment at this establishment is terminated immediately, effective at this moment. The silence that followed was deafening. Rachel stood frozen. Marcus opened his portfolio one final time, withdrawing a thick manila envelope marked confidential board presentation. Before we proceed with operational changes, he announced, I think everyone deserves to understand the full scope of what happened. He spread documents across the counter. The first sheet bore the Thompson Hospitality Solutions letterhead, Pinnacle Bistro Operational Assessment, Discrimination, Audit. Thompson Hospitality Solutions specializes in acquiring struggling properties, Marcus began, his voice carrying boardroom authority. Our due diligence process includes comprehensive operational assessments. Today's visit was the final phase. Officer Chen stepped closer. You mean this was planned? Partially. I needed to observe authentic customer service practices before finalizing staffing decisions. Marcus's eyes swept the room. What I witnessed exceeded my worst projections. He pointed to a financial analysis. Pinnacle Bistro generates $1.8 million annually. However, customer retention rates have declined 23% over 18 months, directly correlating with discrimination complaints. David Reed whistled low. That's catastrophic customer loss. Indeed, the financial impact of discriminatory practices isn't just moral, it's devastating to the bottom line. Marcus turned to the next document. Market share analysis. Pinnacle represents 0.3% of my restaurant portfolio, but generates 67% of all discrimination complaints across 7 properties. Rachel's face was ashen. Employment contracts for all Pinnacle management positions include comprehensive morality clauses, effective immediately upon ownership transfer. He produced a legal document. Section 4.2 specifically addresses discriminatory conduct as grounds for immediate termination without severance. Mike, the security guard, shifted uncomfortably. Sir, does that include security? Your response was based on false information. You followed protocol. Miss Morrison, however, violated federal civil rights statutes and company policy simultaneously. Inspector Davis approached. Mr. Thompson, those 14 health code violations, are they related? Directly correlated. Poor leadership creates systemic failures. Marcus opened another folder. Hidden camera footage from the past 90 days shows consistent protocol violations under Miss Morrison's supervision. He produced a tablet, swiping through time-stamped videos, staff ignoring hand-washing, contaminated prep surfaces, falsified temperature logs. Corporate investigation procedures require comprehensive documentation, Marcus explained. Every violation has been cataloged. Rachel found her voice, a desperate whisper. You can't do this. You can't just destroy someone's life over one mistake. Miss Morrison, this wasn't one mistake. Marcus turned to face her. These documents show 47 documented complaints over 18 months. 47 people who experienced exactly what I experienced today. He opened the complaint file. Sarah Williams, filed March 15th. Manager threw my change on the floor. Told me this wasn't McDonald's. Rachel's face crumpled. James Patterson filed June 3rd. Manager told me I should try the soup kitchen down the street. The exact phrases. Marcus Johnson filed August 12th. Manager wiped down counter with disinfectant after I paid, like I was contaminated. Each complaint was a mirror image. Chloe's live stream viewer count had climbed to 3,500. This is justice. The comments flooded in. She's been doing this for over a year. Marcus closed the complaint file and reached for his final document. Miss Morrison, you have two options. Option 1. Accept immediate termination, sign a non-disclosure agreement, and receive 2 weeks severance despite contract violations. Rachel looked up hopefully. Option 2. Face a public civil rights lawsuit, federal discrimination charges, and a corporate investigation that will become public record. The hope died. You have 60 seconds to decide. David Reed stepped forward. Mr. Thompson, the Metro Restaurant Association has protocols for this. This level of systematic abuse triggers mandatory industry reporting. I'm aware. Thompson Hospitality maintains zero-tolerance policies. Marcus checked his watch. 45 seconds, Miss Morrison. Officer Chen was taking notes. Sir, if you proceed with criminal charges, the police department will conduct a full investigation. I've already contacted legal counsel. Marcus nodded. This pattern of behavior constitutes criminal harassment under state statutes. Rachel's hands were shaking as she reached for the termination agreement. Where do I sign? One moment. Marcus held up his hand. First, you owe someone an apology. He pointed toward the trash bin where she had thrown his money. Retrieve my money, all of it. Then apologize to everyone who witnessed your behavior. Rachel's humiliation was complete. With dozens of witnesses and thousands watching live, she knelt and dug through coffee grounds and food scraps to retrieve Marcus's $47.83. Her hands were stained with garbage as she placed the crumpled, dirty bills and coins on the counter. I'm sorry, she whispered. Louder, Marcus commanded, so everyone can hear. I'm sorry, Rachel's voice cracked. I was wrong. I treated you terribly, and I'm sorry. Marcus accepted the money and placed it carefully in his wallet. Apology acknowledged, but not accepted. Some actions have consequences that sorry cannot repair. He handed her the agreement. Rachel signed it with trembling hands. Security will escort you out, Marcus announced. Your personal belongings will be mailed to your address on file. Mike stepped forward reluctantly. Ma'am, I need you to come with me. As Rachel was led away, the restaurant staff began applauding. Customers joined in. Even Inspector Davis was nodding. Marcus raised his hand for silence. The real work starts now, he announced. This restaurant will become a model for inclusive service. Every employee will receive sensitivity training. Every complaint will be investigated. Every customer will be treated with dignity. He turned to the kitchen staff. Those of you who witnessed discrimination and said nothing, you have one opportunity to be part of the solution. Mandatory bias training begins tomorrow morning. Ana, the server, stepped forward. Mr. Thompson, we wanted to speak up, but we were afraid of losing our jobs. That culture ends today, Marcus replied firmly. Open communication, respectful treatment, professional excellence. Those are our new standards. David Reed approached. Mr. Thompson, the Metro Restaurant Association would like to feature Pinnacle Bistro as a case study in operational transformation. I welcome that partnership. Officer Chen closed her notepad. Sir, this was handled with remarkable professionalism. The police department commends your restraint and systematic approach. Marcus smiled for the second time. Justice doesn't always require punishment. Sometimes it requires change. As the crowd began to disperse, Chloe approached, her phone still recording. Mr. Thompson, anything you want to say to the 4,000 people watching? Marcus looked directly into the camera. Dignity is non-negotiable. Respect is universal. And sometimes, the person you underestimate has the power to change everything. 3 hours later, Pinnacle Bistro hummed with purposeful energy. Rachel's humiliating exit had been broadcast to over 6,000 viewers, but Marcus had already shifted focus from punishment to transformation. He stood behind the same counter, now addressing the entire staff. Effective immediately, Pinnacle Bistro operates under the Respect Initiative, Marcus announced, holding up a professionally printed handbook. Recognize dignity in every customer, embrace inclusive service, sustain professional excellence, prevent discrimination, enforce accountability, champion transformation. Ana, the server who'd witnessed Rachel's behavior for months, raised her hand tentatively. Mr. Thompson, what happens to those of us who didn't speak up before? You get the opportunity to be part of the solution, Marcus replied without judgment. Silence born from fear of job loss is understandable. Choosing to remain silent going forward is unacceptable. He opened his laptop, revealing a comprehensive training program. Every employee will complete 40 hours of bias awareness training over the next 30 days. Paid training, during work hours. No exceptions. The relief in the room was palpable. Additionally, Marcus continued, we're implementing the Pinnacle Promise app. Every customer interaction gets rated in real time. Complaints escalate directly to my office within 15 minutes. He demonstrated the tablet system. Transparency breeds accountability. Inspector Davis, who had remained to observe, approached. Mr. Thompson, I've reviewed your remediation plan for those 14 health violations. If implemented, Pinnacle Bistro will exceed industry standards within 60 days. We're not aiming to meet standards, Marcus replied. We're setting new ones. He turned to the kitchen staff. Carlos, you're promoted to head chef. Anna, you're now assistant manager. Your job is to ensure every customer receives the same excellent service, regardless of how they look, sound, or dress. The promotions were strategic. People who'd witnessed discrimination were now empowered to prevent it. David Reed had remained, taking notes. Mr. Thompson, the Metro Restaurant Association has never seen operational transformation happen this quickly. Would you be willing to present this model at our annual conference? Absolutely. But first, we need to prove it works. Marcus's phone buzzed. He stepped aside briefly, returning with news. Rachel Morrison has been banned from employment at any Thompson hospitality property nationwide. Additionally, her termination has been reported to the State Restaurant Workers Registry, as required by discrimination statutes. The finality was sobering. However, Marcus continued, redemption is always possible. If Miss Morrison completes certified sensitivity training and demonstrates genuine change, that ban can be reconsidered in 2 years. Even in victory, he chose education over permanent destruction. Chloe, who had been documenting everything, looked up. Mr. Thompson, the number Pinnacle transformation is trending. People are calling this the most satisfying justice video they've ever seen. Justice isn't about satisfaction, Marcus replied thoughtfully. It's about creating systems that prevent future harm. He pulled out architectural plans. These renovations will be completed within 90 days. Open kitchen design so customers can see food preparation. Community seating that encourages interaction. Digital menu boards with multiple languages. The physical space would reflect the cultural transformation. Most importantly, Marcus announced, we're establishing the Pinnacle Partnership Fund. $500,000 annually to support minority-owned local suppliers, community organizations, and employee education programs. Gasps echoed through the room. Discrimination isn't just morally wrong, it's economically stupid, Marcus explained. Diverse communities have diverse needs. Businesses that serve everyone well profit from everyone well. Officer Chen, who had stayed to complete her report, approached. Mr. Thompson, I've handled hundreds of discrimination cases. Most end in lawsuits and bitterness. This is the first time I've seen transformation instead of just punishment. Punishment without education just creates hidden resentment, Marcus replied. Systemic change requires systematic solutions. As the afternoon wore on, word spread. Local news crews arrived. By 4 p.m., Pinnacle Bistro was busier than it had been in months. The atmosphere had completely changed. Marcus watched from a corner booth as Anna served a homeless veteran with the same attention she'd given a business executive. Carlos emerged from the kitchen to personally check on an elderly black couple's meal. The transformation wasn't just policy, it was becoming practice. Excuse me, Mr. Thompson? Marcus looked up. I'm Jennifer Washington from Channel 7 News. Could we speak about what happened here today? Of course. But let me be clear. This story isn't about punishment or revenge. It's about the power of ownership to create positive change. The interview would frame the narrative correctly. As evening approached, Marcus prepared to leave. He approached the trash bin where his money had been thrown. He dropped a fresh $100 bill inside, then smiled at the symbolism. Sometimes, he said to Anna, who was watching curiously, you have to throw away the old system to build something better. The money would go toward employee bonuses. The gesture was pure Marcus, transforming a sight of humiliation into a symbol of generosity. Walking toward the exit, Marcus paused at the counter where everything had begun. The marble surface had been thoroughly cleaned, but the memory of discrimination would serve as a permanent reminder of why vigilance mattered. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, But tonight, dignity had been restored, and justice had taken the form of positive transformation. The intellectual victory was complete. 6 months later, Marcus stood in the same spot. The transformation was breathtaking. Pinnacle Bistro buzzed with diverse energy. Black professionals shared tables with white college students. Latino families celebrated birthdays alongside Asian business executives. The open kitchen showed Carlos's team preparing meals with pride. Anna approached, her assistant manager badge gleaming. Customer satisfaction is up 89%, sir. Revenue increased 34% this quarter. But most importantly, she smiled. We've had 0 discrimination complaints in 6 months. Marcus nodded, scanning the data. What about staff retention? 100% retention rate. 3 employees have enrolled in college using our education fund. 2 others started their own catering businesses with our small business loan program. The ripple effects extended far beyond one restaurant. David Reed entered, carrying a thick folder marked Industry Excellence Award. Marcus, the Metro Restaurant Association, has selected Pinnacle Bistro as Inclusive Business of the Year. You're not just running a restaurant, you're setting industry standards. How many other restaurants have adopted the Respect Initiative? 47 locations across 3 states. The Pinnacle Promise app has been downloaded by over 200 restaurants. Your model is spreading. Chloe Jensen approached their table, now working as Pinnacle's social media coordinator. Her viral live stream had launched a career. Mr. Thompson, the 6-month follow-up video just hit 500,000 views. People want to know, whatever happened to Rachel Morrison? Marcus paused. She completed the sensitivity training program I recommended. Found work at a community center helping formerly incarcerated individuals develop job skills. Last month, she sent me a handwritten apology letter. Are you considering removing the employment ban? Next month, actually. Everyone deserves a second chance if they've done the work to earn it. Inspector Davis emerged from the kitchen, her clipboard nearly empty. Annual health inspection complete. Pinnacle Bistro receives the highest rating possible, and I'm recommending you for the State Excellence Award. The contrast with that chaotic day was stark. As the evening crowd gathered, Marcus reflected. One incident had catalyzed industry-wide change. His phone buzzed. A text from his legal team. Settlement reached with 23 previous discrimination victims. Total compensation $1.2 million. All accusers satisfied with restaurant improvements. Justice had taken the form of both accountability and restoration. A young black teenager approached hesitantly. Excuse me, are you the owner? I saw your video online. It gave me the courage to report discrimination at my job. They fired the manager and promoted me to supervisor. Stories like this arrived weekly. As closing time approached, Marcus gathered the staff. 6 months ago, this restaurant was a place where people's dignity was routinely violated. Tonight, it's a place where dignity is celebrated. That transformation happened because you chose to be part of the solution. The staff beamed. But our work isn't finished. Discrimination still exists. Every time you treat a customer with respect, you're proving that inclusive service isn't just morally right, it's economically smart. Anna raised her hand. Mr. Thompson, what's next for Pinnacle? We're opening 5 more locations next year, each built from the ground up with inclusive practices. We're demonstrating that businesses can be forces for positive social change. As the team left, Marcus walked to a framed photo on the wall, a screenshot from Chloe's live stream, showing the moment his identity was revealed. Below it, a simple caption, "Sometimes the person you underestimate has the power to change everything." Looking directly at the security camera that now streamed to his Blacktail Stories social media platforms, Marcus addressed the audience he knew was watching. If you've witnessed discrimination in restaurants, retail stores, or any business, don't stay silent. Document it. Report it. Share your story. Change happens when people refuse to accept unacceptable behavior. He paused, letting the words sink in. Every share of this story creates awareness. Every comment builds solidarity. Every subscription to Blacktail Stories supports more investigations into discrimination and more stories of people who turned humiliation into transformation. His expression grew more serious. Remember, your dignity is non-negotiable. Your voice matters. And sometimes, the person treating you poorly has no idea who you really are, or what power you possess. Until next time, this is Marcus Thompson, reminding you that respect is earned through action, change comes through ownership, and justice looks like systems that protect everyone's dignity. The camera faded to black as Marcus's quiet revolution continued spreading. Valuable lesson. This story teaches us that true character is revealed not by how we treat our equals or superiors, but by how we treat those we perceive as having less power. Justice isn't just about punishment. It's about systematic change to ensure dignity for everyone. What did you think of Marcus's final decision about Rachel? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more stories of justice and transformation. Finish.